So it's gonna get you rich. What? What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, rapping Friday 30s like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting this pot, might be talking. So it's gonna get you rich. What? What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, rapping Friday 30s like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting this posture, might be talking to cops, giving them caution, occasionally wearing his vest when he's walking, see the turning heads, whispering gawking, but he's locked in. And he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
Study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can all calcify eyes. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance with minds of darkness. Use the source, don't care what some report. As we know by being told, man goes not. Many before the floor, souls got caught. Placed in the devil's hands, rule in the seven lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals. Brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They still criminal. In a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past righteous blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak from soft arms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass, and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the enemy serenades. Whether this life's clear or gray, rain when you hear it fake, giving life to see. Speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. Then always look to these holes like hallucinatory depths. Sun walks desert, been more of a since I found God. Look back, used to see his prints. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no Jody. Deny you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
Deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind, body, and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack. This deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind, body, and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place and spoons on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces, peel back, rats, who got cases, fire stain the corridors of flemo faces, game changers, rule benders and no pretenders, style benders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses, send a message to our veterans, soldiers up and get it in, we on our birds, we on merge, subliminal beings, third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, break me, rolling with my name G, double O-M-G, S-O-N is crazy, for a minute that you think you could take me for a fool like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude, you mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark tools, I've been saying you mistaken me, to better move for our market, power is my tongue, to resistance to target, revealing all lies and deceit on the market, genocide, carry out in pockets, I knock it, down bulldozer, David to Goliath, it's an exposure, some big heads healing and it's getting closer to your downfall, round up on your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters cracking this porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is to keep skillets and dope, just to keep us afloat. Might as deep as the boat. Green is the lethal weapon, we one need to alone. When I speak up, I'm broke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when they let me roll under my Louis fitted to set me cold. Cause then we capture the cake and boy, yeah, the joke. The cost of living, higher profits and private prison. These little girls are study body just to pay tuition. These little niggas sunny niggas just to build condition. It's like the state they never had to break the end of mission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me in one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me in one plan.
moral, meru, are synonymous, keeping in mind the vowels A, E, I, O, U, Y are interchangeable. Thus, more, M-O-O-R, M-U-U-R, are synonyms as well, emphasizing the word Morican. The letter O is interchangeable with E for American, Morican. Reference, Berry W. Encyclopedia Heraldica. Morican being a derivative of Moor. Thus, American, Amorican, Al-Moroccan are consistent. And that's from Who Are the Moors? Asiatics, Americans. Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry? Part 2 by Mizraim Aleph L. So here we are, about to get in. Islam, Moor.
Islam, more peace and love to the fam, bro.
Islam. We're here. We're here.
Indeed. Absolutely, yo. Finally, right? Finally. Real talk, bro. Like I said, man, this is this is crazy because as I was saying, we've been doing Sons of Allah in March it made 6 years, but we was going in so much we didn't even acknowledge it. And I feel like, it's a good thing to finally do this for the record. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we it's the first time for everything. You know what I'm saying? And during these quote unquote quarantine times, man, why not? We got some extra time. They opening up some states, but not where I'm at, bro. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't like bad, but still, we got some extra time, and to utilize it wisely. I feel like, this is something that had to be done. We were supposed to do it years ago. I wasn't ready. I'm ready, bro. Yeah. I'm ready. So, salute to you, all Canaanland Moors, everybody listening. I'm thankful to be here. I'm glad we about to do this, man. Real talk.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Oh, like I said, just finding ways to stay creative and thankful. I started making, or at least I want to start making slingshots. I showed you the joints earlier, but man, finding all types of creative ways to stay out the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Whether this thing be a hoax or not, these are times where we need to tap into our creativity and our inner man, our spirit man, you know what I'm saying? And really get it in, So as I said, I think we did an exceptional broadcast on Thursday on Sons of Allah. And we definitely wanted to continue that. So from where we at now, because I know you was going in on a 5-pointed star for whatever reasons people were saying, whatever they were saying about it, I was like, man, this is crazy. It's been too many things that been getting out of hand. As far as this is definitely a question I've heard frequently asked. I spoke about it on our Sons of Allah MHHS broadcast that we do every third Thursday and whatnot. But
the interjection more. There might be some new people in the chat and stuff like that. If you could just give them a quick intro of who you are,
okay,
so they could know who's giving it to them right now.
All right, bet. Well, my free national appellation is Mizraim Aleph L. I am the son of RV Bey, of RV Bey Publications. I have been familiar with more. I know we was just talking about this on our broadcast Thursday. My born day was last Wednesday, the 22nd. That's just a little astro background. Born on Earth Day and whatnot. But my mother is RV Bey of RV Bey Publications. You know, I've been around Moorish information since I was 11, 12 years old. I can't say, I mean, being exposed to it so young, I also had to develop with it in life. So I don't have too many instances of, I do have a lot of classes, but not too many where I'm putting on for YouTube or Instagram or Facebook and things like that. I more so look at these lessons as aspects where we could develop our own lives first, you know, and then based off of our experience, share it with the world. But also, you know, we can't be 85ers about it either. We have to teach, you know, our people. So I know from where I stand, my position in life, there's been a lot of people that's trying to discredit Moors for being Moors, as if we can't be Moors unless we're in the Moorish Science Temple of America. And, you know, all of that is a falsehood and a fallacy. And there's no disrespect to Noble Drew Ali, you know, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We do look to him for divine inspiration and respect all of his works, you know. So I know that when it comes to the Moorish community, you have Moors who know who they are, and then you have Moors who either are intentionally agents or just simply don't know who they are, and they want you to believe with them. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that I want to share from my specific studies, you know, and it's not even about being in the temple. It's about knowing who you are, because you are the temple. And like I said before, I forever give thanks to all the brothers and sisters that I met on this path who have been sincere about these lessons. You know what I mean? Who have done the cross references and study and know, you know, even if it was times where, you know, Morris got caught slipping, being politically incorrect, you know, those who have seen the light and made changes, shout out to all of y'all. And those who already knew, shout out to all of you too. And those who may not know, because I've seen over the last few years, there's been a heavy opposition towards Moors who are not in the temple, as if we're not Moors unless we're in the temple. And when I say in the temple, I mean the Moorish Science Temple of America. That was infiltrated when Prophet Noble Drew Ali was around. So we, being free Moors, are not going to be judged by that standard, even though you may hear unpopular opinions about Moors. Because and people say things like, "Oh well, if you cannot be a Moor if you are not in the Moorish Science Temple of America." That we about to expose that for sure. So when I was mentioning some of the sincere Moors that I met on the path, I want to first off give acknowledgement and thanks, as I will always do, for being exposed to this here, to Brother Settenrod and his wife for setting up this trip on the equinox of 2018 to the Library of Congress, you know, because a lot of truths were exposed in there. And this is one of them that I think is important for people to know when it comes to, are we Moors if we're not in the Moorish Science Temple of America? You know, we incurred all types of false narratives, false appellations and citizenship from, you know, sovereign citizen, which we know is crazy, because sovereign is definitely not even a place to be a citizen of. So that's not what we about, but we do study history, law, facts, astrology, cosmology, divine and national things, and whatever else we may be inspired to get familiar with. So I just want to share this fact again. This is from the Library of Congress, and I would not have been able to, or maybe not even endeavor to go into this without the inspiration of the brother Settenrod and his wife for making this opportunity available. So this is one of the things, and the only reason I didn't put this documentary up already is because in 2019, the beginning of 2019, I dropped my external hard drive and a lot of my stuff got wiped out. You know what I mean? Yeah, real talk. This would have been out in video format, but this was in all honors to how I was exposed to this maxim or revelation. Even though it's been said for years, this image that's on the screen right now is directly from the Library of Congress. And Set and Ra had did this class in honor of the brother James Watson Bay back on the equinox of 2018. But there is no other reason that I did not put this out except for I lost my work. I started it again, lost it again, and I said, okay, the divine is showing me something different in the meantime. So I don't want to say I stopped working on it, but I put it on pause because I was literally like 24, 48 hours away from being done editing the first part, and it got wiped out. You know what I'm saying? And then I was trying to do this again, and somehow it got wiped out. Not even by dropping it, just my video editor just ate it. So I said the universe is trying to show me something else right now, and we'll get into that later. You know what I mean? But I want to say this revelation here, this maxim here, it says there is but one temple in the universe, and that is the body of man. Now, you might look at that and say, oh, well, the U looks like a V. When you talk about Latin and old language, like this is an old maxim. You know what I mean? V's and U's are interchangeable if you know the Latin language. Like V's and U's are definitely interchangeable. So when you look at the letter W, it looks like two V's together because that's what the V actually represent in Latin. So you got a double U. So when it says there is but and it's spelled BVT, it looks like that. It's actually pronounced U. All right. So there is but one temple in the universe, and that is the body of man, meaning that for all Moors aspiring to be themselves or to get familiar with Moors or Moorish science or Moorish history, you need to first, before you look outside of yourself, and never dismiss Noble Drew Ali's lessons, but understand, look no further than your mother for being the Moorish scientist, you know, to give you a body, if you will, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the only temple in the universe that's recognized. You know, you could think that, oh, I'm going to join this group or join that group or join this temple or join this mosque, and I'm going to get my birthright because of it. No, that's not how it works. You know, it's protections and organizations and networks, but you got to be yourself. That's the only way you can begin to be uplifted is by knowing yourself, and not just knowing yourself. Knowing yourself isn't even good enough. You got to be yourself. So I'm saying that I hold that up to anybody's claim that we're not Moors because we're not in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Because in fact and indeed, if we're talking law, we, each one of us, is the temple. Now, mind you, this is a maxim or axiom straight out of the Library of Congress, Thomas Jefferson building, you know, because a lot of these Moors have been slandering Moors and discrediting Moors because, you know, we may not associate with them specifically, that we're not real Moors and we got to come to the temple on Sunday. And this is no disrespect to you, Cujo, but look at it now. If they so involved with being in the United States jurisdiction, you can't even congregate right now. So then what? What that mean? Because you can't come to a temple meeting on Sunday, you're not a Moor no more? Like, let's be for real about this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we are Moor. We are the temple. So get in tune with yourself before you look outside. Because remember, the lessons was for those who say they love Jesus. But if you say you love Jesus and you look at his lessons, he's telling you the kingdom of heaven is within. Ain't nothing without you got to look for. You know what I mean? There's absolutely nothing outside of yourself. So, you know, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not discouraging what Noble Drew Ali set up back then. But even when he set it up back then, he had these same haters around trying to tell you what they're telling you today about you're not a Moor unless you do something. No, you're a Moor at birth. That's all you had to do. So your mama had to do was, you know, bring you into this world after giving you, you know, your heart, your brain, all your organs in your body. You was either you was or you was not a Moor then. at that moment that you made live birth. You know what I'm saying? So don't let nobody tell you or play you or me or anybody else like we're not Moors unless we join some organization. That's a fact that's not true. So yeah, I just wanted to say that from the jump, you know, because that's one of the
message received. Message received.
Facts.
Body is temple.
Yeah. You can't be, you know, the body is the temple, you know what I'm saying? So even in these times, it's some deep cleaning within the body that needs to be taking place. Your own body, my own body, all of this is where it's at. So yeah, shout out to the one hater already. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all mad. I know y'all mad. You know,
who's that? So, there's one already.
Already, you know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. So I'm just speaking. Oh yeah, good looking for putting this up. This right here comes from the book, and this is all credit due to the woman Emma Marie Trusty. Emma Marie Trusty has a book called The Underground Railroad, Ties That Bound Unveiled. And this is from page 87 of her book. I posted this on my community tab maybe over a year ago, but some people still don't get the point. So I don't know where these people come from. You know what I'm saying? You got so-called grand sheiks that been dissing us in the South region, Baltimore region. You got people up north talking about, sign black on the census. I just want to show y'all how these dudes is sellouts and watch out for them. Speaking from where I come from, I don't know what they believe, but remind you, it's a reason Noble Drew Ali established the old Canaanite temple first in Newark, New Jersey. You know what I mean? So-called Newark, New Jersey. And you got a lot of these mulattoes, if you will, trying to tell you that Moors ain't aboriginal to North America, but they're claiming that they're aboriginal because they're Lenni Lenape and all of this here. You understand? But I'm from the region and I know what's really good. Why these mulatto types, you know what I'm saying, is acting like they indigenous and the copper complexion people are not. Let's look at these mulatto stories, okay? And let's look at our stories to make the distinguishment. Let us distinguish ourselves being Moors for the record. So this says, this is from, again, all due respect, all credit due to Emma Marie Trusty. This is from her book, Unbiased reference. It's just a commentary on what she laid out. So it says Nathaniel Murray's race. Again, this is page 87 from Underground Railroad, The Ties That Bound Unveiled. It says Nathaniel Murray's race was Native American, quote unquote. The names Murray, Gould, and Pierce were identified as Nanticoke, Lenni Lenape Indian names. A number of Lenni Lenape remain in Cape May, Cumberland, and Salem. Around 1803, most of their tribe was removed from the region by wagon, trains, and on foot. In early federal census reports, the region, clusters of those names of Gould, Pierce, and Murray were identified by Mu for mulatto. These cluster patterns seemed to authenticate their claim to be Native Americans. Now watch this. It says other Native Americans remained in the South Jersey region of darker complexions. They were simply classified as B for black in early federal documents, okay? So when you see these mulatto types, and I'm not a racist, but let them distinguish themselves like we distinguishing ourselves. Maybe the mulattoes did get, removed from the land, and they'll tell you, oh, I'm Lenni Lenape, and I answer questions in a second. You know what I'm saying? They'll say that I'm Lenni Lenape, and we're the indigenous people, and Moors ain't Moors. You must be out of your mind. You mulattoes had got removed, but the Moors did not. They was just simply classified as B for black in early federal documents. So I understand why y'all bitter about Moors still being here of darker complexions. And I hate to go to what they call colorism, if not, or whatnot. But this is the reality that we're dealing with. When y'all see these people saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm Lenny Lenape," and you about, you know, light as a Timberland boot, you know, understand why they bitter at Moors, because we didn't get removed from the region. They did. Understand back then there was heavy, you know, there was heavy emphasis on what your lineage was, you know, whether you was, because remind you, Europeans was enslaved more so than Moors. People don't want to tell it like that, but that's the truth. The Europeans went through slavery too. Noble Drew Ali told you that every nation suffered slavery. Now, in case people want to say that, oh, they said Native Americans remained in South Jersey region of darker complexions. Can you pull up that definition of Moor? Because I need, you know, since we're doing this for the record, you know, people need to be clear on what a Moor is, because anybody with brown skin, dark skin is technically a Moor. You know, these people who are claiming not to be Moors usually look of a different phenotype. You know what I'm saying? Or you could stay there. Okay. All right. So this is from Nature Knows No Color Line. Classic staple read for any more, whether you think you Negro, black, or colored or whatnot. But highlighted part right here, Larchi Lordine, Dictionary des Noms, page 326, 336, 337, 1880 gives the following derivatives of Moor. And it says More, of Moorish origin, or with skin brown like that of a Moor. So when they talked about the natives who remained in the South Jersey region of darker complexions, I hate to sound, you know, biased, but y'all mulattoes have been acting real biased on we Moors of darker complexions. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about it. How about it? You know what I'm saying? The fact that, you know, the derivatives of Moor is More, which means of Moorish origin, or with skin brown like that of a Moor. And then it goes into how many different words the word Moor has derivatives of. And I want y'all to really understand this, because Moor is a universal term, because they say, oh, Moor is an English word. You mean Moors? That came from English. Moor is the word that describes the original people who've been labeled black, right? This is their free national appellation all across the planet. You can't take the word black into any other language and it sound anything like the word black. You could take Moor into any language and you'll still see the root word Moor in there. So it's saying Moor, Morel, Maurice, Moran, Morant, Murray, Morin, Moritz, Moran, Moran, Morard, Moore, Morial, Moriox, Morlet, Moricode, you know what I mean? Moricard. You know, I could go on and on. This is the one appellation that don't matter what language you use, they put respect on our appellation, if you will. Put some respect on our name. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like our free national appellation. So yeah, I wanted to correlate the fact that when she said other Native Americans of darker complexions remained in the region and they was just simply classified as black, these are Moors, you know, and it's not like they came from across the great Atlantic during the slave era. No, they was here before that. Moors was here before that. You understand? So yeah, pardon me, we could get back to where you was at with it, but I'm just saying that, you know, in these days and times, don't let nobody tell you that, you know, Moors are not Aboriginal indigenous to America. I don't care who's saying that, especially if they claiming to be Indian. The reason they mad is because they a lot of them came from sex farms where their mother and father was crossbreeding. You know what I'm saying? And they're not sure about who they are, but we know who we are. So you know what I'm saying? The fact that other Native Americans, as it says on the screen, again, this is Emma Marie Trusty. This is, I swear by this book. Yeah, it needs to be read with a sense of refinement, but already knowing myself, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna get that right out of there. You know what I'm saying? So when she talks about other Native Americans remained in the South Jersey region of darker complexions, those so-called Lenni Lenape dudes who's disavowing being Moors, this is why they mad. They was actually mulattoes who got removed from the region. Real talk. While we stayed in the region and had to simply deal with being classified as black. Hence, you got Noble Drew Ali coming and telling you that you're not Negro, black, and colored. And you didn't have to be in a temple for him to tell you that, or to even experience the fact that they tried to change your name. Real facts. Your free national name at that. So, Moor, that's something I wanted to make clear off the rip, because there's a lot of downplaying and confusion about being Moors. It's a lot of jealousy. I understand what Noble Drew Ali was saying about that. They was jealous of his fame and nobility. You know what I mean? And we see that the true and living Moors is somewhat experiencing that today. So, I didn't want to just talk it. I wanted to present facts.
Straight.
And those was some facts that you can go and research for yourself and actually see that this is true. You know what I mean? These native, so-called Native Americans were actually Moors. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's the book cover right there. I don't know if you could blow it up so they can actually see the people on the cover and see the sister's name. And the region that we're talking about for these Lenni Lenapes, if you will, Delaware, Jersey, PA, etc. And you see who's on the cover there. And that's who the book is by, Emma Marie Trusty at the bottom left, written on so-called Delaware. So you know what I'm saying? And it's no hate from my end about anybody being mulatto. I understand, but when they take a stance as if they're the original people and they're not Moors and Moors is not indigenous, a lot of these dudes need to be checked on spot. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. A lot of them is out here wilding, and you knew the lessons of Noble Drew Ali. So,
That's what gets me. That they know the teachings. They got Quran at their house and all that. You still talking crazy? Like, how you talking crazy and you have a Quran at your house?
Have a Quran and you're talking crazy. You know what I mean? So those Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, you understand that they were us. We are Moors. And sorry, again, no disrespect to any mulattoes, if you will, or Tawny Moors or whatnot, but don't ever disrespect your mothers and fathers like they ain't who they are. Because if that was the case, y'all wouldn't have got kicked out the house while Moore stayed in the house. It was definitely a different type of respect between us and them. Since y'all want to make distinguishments, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's be for real. If you want to make distinguishments, we could go all the way there. The mulatto types got kicked out of the Jersey region. Not the Moors who was labeled in early federal documents as beef or black. So I'm just saying, these are the facts. Y'all could be mad, whatever. Don't be mad at me and cross-reference the facts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just cross-reference the facts. Like, I'm from the region. I know why Noble Drew Ali chose this region to open up his ministry. We already know. This is the home of original man. Okay, so now let's look at this, right? This is can you blow that up a little bit more on the screen? Is it me or hold up, let me see something. I can't blow it up on my screen anymore. Yeah, all right. So, like, if you look close to this, because a lot of people will get caught up and say, nah, we Hebrew Israelites and we from the 12 tribes. This is a illustration from the book called The Light of Egypt, and this was out in the 1800s, 1881 to be exact. Or maybe, hold on, no, maybe not 1881, but definitely the 1800s. And this is breaking down the astrology and cosmology. So, like, you could see that all of these 12 tribes of so-called Israel is actually dealing with zodiac constellations. Like, if you look at where it says Simeon and Levi, they were twins, right? But that's Gemini. That's simply just Gemini. You know what I'm saying? Zubulon is Cancer, Judah is Leo, Asher is Virgo, Dan is Libra, Gad is Scorpio, Joseph Sagittarius, Naphtali Capricorn, Reuben is Aquarius, Ephraim and Manasseh is Pisces. Now remember, it's two names because, or two appellations, is because it's two fish that represent the constellation Pisces. And then you got Benjamin as Aries and Taurus as Isidore. So just because off the strength, I'm born under Taurian sun sign constellation influence, I could be considered as a part of the tribe of Isidore, right? If I was a Gemini, I could be considered as part of the Simeon Levi tribe. You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to get people to understand is that the Bible is an astrology book. So when you talk about 12 tribes, never forget, you know, that's really dealing with the zodiac spiritual science. But on the earth plane, we have a nationality. It's deeper than just your tribe, you know what I'm saying? Or what constellation you come from. And again, this is from the book, The Light of Egypt, Volume 1. You know what I'm saying? So people can really get into that. And yeah, shout out to Uncle Buzz Tavares. You already know. That's exactly who that's by. Thomas H. Bourgogne. And it's a classic. It's a classic read. Matter of fact, I almost don't even want to really even try to explain this. If until you read this book, you know, you can't, I really don't respect nobody's opinion. You know what I'm saying? If they haven't read this book, I really don't even respect your opinion when it comes to talking about us being divine and national and Moors or not. And I don't mean that in any arrogant way, but I know anything you're going to talk about Noble Drew Ali or divine science, then, you know, without reading this book, you really not qualified to speak on Moor science to me. Because I read it. You feel what I'm saying? I was so addicted to the joint from front to back. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the divine parts that we need to know, because everything you have been told by true and living de jour Moors who weren't traders, it'll check out reading this book. So I say that to say that never forget when they're talking about 12 tribes, you know what I'm saying? That they're actually talking about 12 zodiac constellations. So don't get caught up in, oh well, no, we're Israelites. No, man, this is divine. This is astrology. And even then, you know, that's, I mean, like, you know, you a Taurus, I'm a Taurus. So we from one of the 12 tribes of Israel in that sense, but that's not our nationality. You know what I'm saying? It's not. We just Tauruses. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, again,
no matter what they make up, no matter if they bring out the chart and all that stuff, you should ask them when they bring out the chart with all the 12 tribes, how come they don't have the part that shows all the 12 zodiac?
Facts. Yeah. Yeah, real talk. That's what I'm saying. Like, it sounds good until you break this down.
Yeah, they're missing a column.
Oh yeah, big time, bro.
Yeah,
big time. You know what I'm saying?
And again, and then you look at this individual, right? Presented, they're giving you the months in 12. They're giving you the 12 tribes. They're giving you the astrological signs. They're giving you the images that represent them. They're giving you the symbols that represent them. So you can see that everything's one thing. And then these Power Rangers are going to be telling you about something different.
Facts, bro. Facts.
And then going with the different when the truth is there.
Yeah.
The truth
is right there. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? This is real talk. And it's not to knock the lessons of the Hebrews, because it has contributed to waking a lot of people up on a basic level. But to stay stuck there is like to stay stuck in first grade forever. You don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? You need to understand that it's about as above, so below science. So like, even what I seen what it done for people I know, it's like, okay, yeah, it woke you up to a certain point. We could have certain conversations that you might not be able to have with a commoner, but don't stay stuck there because it's deeper than that. That's why I say Noble Drew Ali's lessons is what we actually need, because he says in there that our holy day is the sixth day. Before you even get to the 12 tribes of Israel, if you're a Bible toting believer, why do you keep skipping over Genesis 1:26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, or 31? Why are we skipping over that? Like life started with Adam and Eve. You know what I'm saying? Like life started with these so-called 12 tribes of Israel. It didn't. If God made male and female, or man and woman on the sixth day, how is it that we got this concept? We came from Adam and Eve in these 12 tribes of Israel. What happened to these people that the first people God made on the sixth day? Excuse me. We're gonna just forget them, like they didn't survive the great deluge before you claim to be an Israelite? Like this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy. So, just to stay on the divine and national level, please, family, understand, that when you hear about the 12 tribes of Israel, that's good, but don't get stuck there like that's your nationality. Like we are Moors, and this is just spirit science to connect you up with your spiritual tribe, but not necessarily, what your nationality is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, in that sense, okay, tribes are cool, but none of that supersedes nationality. You know what I'm saying? So, Islam, that's what I wanted to show and prove, not just say. Oh, I also want to say at the bottom of the very bottom, scroll up a little bit. The bottom left and right, it's a square and a triangle, right? There's another part in this book that talks about the square being the angle of sorrow, and the triangle being the angle of joy, right? And it reminded me of the fact that even when we was coming up, when you wanted to indirectly or directly say somebody was a bad person, you say, yo, you a square. You a square from Delaware. How about that? You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? When you was talking about people that brought joy, it was always the Trinity, the 3 points: light, life, and love. But the square was always considered as an outcast. And these things have their good aspects too. But I'm just saying that this is what we need to understand when it comes to this universal math. So people will be like, oh, well, Uranus is squaring whatever planet and constellation. So watch out for the malefic rays. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Understand. You don't want to be a square. These are the angles of sorrow in certain cases. But like we brought out on Sons of Allah Thursday, the planetary bodies really can't affect us if we have a knowledge of them beforehand and when they take position where they're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I had to say about those first 2 or 3 slides was, let's not get caught up in being 12 tribes of Israel when that's basically just zodiac science. You need to know the 12 signs of the zodiac. Whenever you hear 12, don't think just know that you're talking about zodiac. You know what I'm saying? Facts. So because you was talking about the 5-pointed star, I seen you did a live on that.
Yeah.
Like a day or 2 after we did the last MHHS Sons of Allah on the beginning of Ramadan. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like to keep it divine and national, this is something that you gotta look at, that the 5-pointed star, even that you see on the Moorish flag, has ancient divine science. Whether you want to say the Moorish flag is only 10,000 years old, or just came around when Noble Drew Ali came around, or whatever it is you may want to say, this is an ancient science. That's why I said earlier, Kujo, I don't even respect people's opinion on Moors and the Moorish flag if they haven't read this book. Because if you read this book and you got something crazy to say about the Moorish flag, that means you definitely an agent. You know what I'm saying? because ignorance is one thing, you know, but to actually ignore what you know, that's a whole nother thing. That's agent work.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? And I say that in a sense because Noble Drew Ali was also an Egyptian adept student. So the fact that, you know, he studied Egyptian adepthood, if you will, you know, these are the things that are dealing with so-called Egyptian philosophy. You want to say you're going to challenge jurisdiction, you know, in a court or whatnot, and you're going to put your Moorish flags at the top of your paper, you better know what that represents on an ancient level, because Noble Drew Ali was being considerate when he said, not that he was wrong, that those 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But what's on the screen right now is what the ancients knew. It's also what he knew. He had to know. But remember, he said the half has only been told. If I told you everything, you go back to sleep. You go back to sleep. But Cujo, they've been asleep so long, let's ring the alarm on them. You know,
alarm on them.
Like, damn, these niggas will never wake up. If
the alarm on them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So you look around the 5 point of star. If you start on the left side, it says all around. If you read it 360, it's spelling out the objective form of matter. The objective form of matter. This is this is sacred geometry in its finest sense. You could pick out fruits and flowers and they grow in the same format. The bottom of every pear naturally grown is stamped with that same 5-pointed star. You can pick different flowers, they grow in 5 points geometrically, just like this. You know what I'm saying? But this is also the hieroglyph for man in the flesh, right? And on the Moorish flag, it's a green star because that represents the 6th day. You know what I mean? The Venus energy, like spiritually speaking. You know, so you see every sense of the quote unquote man or human or body has astrological influence. Look at the hieroglyphs around every point of projection. And if you do the knowledge on every one of those hieroglyphs that's in the points, they all represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice as well. So, you know, your seeing is represented or is influenced by the planet Mercury. Why? Because that's communication. Feeling is Venus. Scent, Jupiter. Hearing is Saturn. Because you got to have discipline to listen in. You know what I mean? You like a lot of people hear things and that's good. You know what I'm saying? But the discipline aspect of listening to what you're hearing is ruled by Saturn. You know what I'm saying? So these 5 points that we projecting on our national flag, I don't know what these other people are trying to say as far as it not being a flag of the Moors. It's been an emblem of the Moors. Matter of fact, besides the crescent moon and star, you can't show me another emblem that's as spiritual for the hieroglyph of man in the flesh. You know what I mean? Another one is divine and national. You know what I'm saying? This is it. If you want to say we was Moabites, Egyptians, all of that, that's cool. But universally, on a symbology level, this right here is speaking to, you know, sacred geometry. And remember, DC is laid out like this too. And in the center of all of that, you have the spirit, the sun spirit, or the soul. You know what I'm saying? And this is the objective form of matter. So this is natural law, you know, and that's just what I'm seeing about this. So, you know, when it comes to the 5-pointed star, I mean, red flag, green 5-pointed star, we got to understand what's the science that meets the beyond the eye. And I'm not making any assertions on the Moorish flag, you know, like Noble Drew Ali said not to do, but I'm just exposing, in a sense, the science behind it that they're not going to tell you in the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know what I'm saying? And that's not inclusive of you, Cujo, because I know you would expose this. But I'm saying those who are saying we're not Moors unless we in the temple, they're not even going to give you these degrees about what does your flag really represent. besides just, the 101 aspect of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They're not going to give you the science. They're not. They're not. And I said it. That's true. You know what I'm saying? You name me a Moor Science Temple of America that's teaching this, and I'll sign up. You know what I'm saying? So we're Moors regardless. This is what our 5-pointed star represents on the ancient level and modern level. You know what I'm saying? This is what it is. Before we move on, anything you want to add on to that more?
Oh no, more. I'm enjoying class.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? So don't let them trip y'all up about the 5-pointed star is not the Moorish flag. The 5-pointed star is sacred Moorish geometry. Like, back off, bro. Like, get off. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever disrespect these teachings of Noble Drew Ali, even though he could only give you it in a certain format. You had to build. You had to be around to get sessions like this, I'm sure. He wasn't going to give all of this up on a 101 level. The 101s is beginner level. Like, let's be for real. And then once you get higher degrees, you realize, damn, that shit was actually advanced. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, when I say for myself, to myself, and for other Moors, when they look at our red flag with the green 5-pointed star in the center, remember, on a divine level, on the cosmological level, this is what it's representing. When the magistrates see that, who you expect to know law, they expect you to know this. You know what I'm saying? They expect you to know this. And that's what it is. So don't look to them to think, if you don't know this science and you put in the Moorish flag on your papers and you lack this knowledge, you may not have had studied enough. And it ain't nobody's fault. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nobody's fault. But you need to understand that you got to take responsibility to know what it is that you're saying and presenting, because they know this. They're being taught this in their societies. Don't think they don't know what the Moorish flag, and remind you, it's interlaced for a reason. I'm not talking about just the 5-pointed star. Like, no, we're talking about the geometry of it being interlaced, because there's so much math that that comes with this. You know what I'm saying?
Now, let me ask you this. So what with the people who say, but last time I saw, these symbols or this symbology, it was something demonic.
Yeah.
It was something evil.
Yeah, that's how they market to your subconscious to stay away from the good things of life, we could get into that, but energy is energy. Some people use it for good, some people use it for bad, and some people badly use it for selfish purposes. You know what I mean? But remind you, if you could use it for good, you could use it for bad. It's like a gun. You could, or a firearm. You could use it to protect your home and property, or you could use it to terrorize the community. It has two functions, you know what I mean? Or potentially does. But this is the science. So remind you, just as much as they could use it for demonic forces and energies, it could really be used for angelic forces and energies. And that's what you need to stay fixated on, the good things, the higher things. So it's like, if we got firearms, everybody that got a firearm isn't the same type of person behind it. You know what I'm saying? You got people who will use it for the absolute wrong reasons. And then you got people who will use it for the most noblest of reasons, only if need be, as in protecting themselves, their family, their property. You know what I'm saying? So, you always got to understand that every coin has two sides, if you will. So, maybe some people try to use it better. Use it demonically, but you got to know how to use it better than a demon. Like, are you a god or you a demon? How you going to use it? You know what I'm saying? Because these are angelic forces. These are definitely angelic forces, and I'm glad you put this next definition up on the screen, the definition of angel, because reading the 101s, he told you, Noble Drew Ali told you that angels was used to carry messages to the four corners of the world. Now, this is out of an unabridged dictionary. What is the definition of an angel? The etymology clearly tells you that an angel is a messenger. You know what I'm saying? Like, this checks out. No, everything Noble Drew Ali was saying checks out. It's nothing that none of these Johnny come latelys could ever say to get me to feel like Noble Drew Ali's more science wasn't right and exact. It's nothing they could say. You know what I mean? So when it says an angel, it's a noun. It comes from the Latin word angelus, or Greek angelos, is a messenger. That's in the brackets. And then it says literally a messenger, one employed to communicate news or information from one person to another at a distance. But notice how they say that that's rare, right? You see in the brackets, that's rare. Noble Drew Ali was definitely a rare breed. You know what I'm saying? We could get into number two, but that's the highlight to me. You know what I'm saying? Is that the etymology in the brackets mean it shows you an angel is a messenger. So we could take it out of the realm of angels and demons, then ethereal beings, and really look at ourselves when you see, even when we was talking about the 5-pointed star, that it's a difference between, demonic and angelic forces. So you got demonic forces on this plane, but you got angelic forces on this plane, and they're all cloaked in flesh. It's not a myth, like something that is spooky and not physical form. Like, no, it's a lot of people who are on a demonic frequency. And then you got a lot of people who are on angelic frequencies. You got to use the discernment. You know what I'm saying? It's a war against good and evil. Which one are you on?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's all about energy. That's really what it all boils down to, is the energy, bro. So, I say that to say that when Noble Drew Ali asked the question, what are angels used for? And the answer was to carry messages to all four corners of the earth. It checks itself out when you do the etymology. You can see for yourself, this man wasn't just making this up. You know what I'm saying? So remember, if a demon could use it, an angel can excel on the opposite side with it, as far as that 5-point sacred geometry, bro. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's good too that the people always, take the approach of divine first. You know what I mean?
Divine and national.
Just do that. Let that be the standard. Yes, we get it. That right to travel and you know what I mean, adverse possession and all these things that we could do by exercising our birthright. But look at the divine side first.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
You're not even going to be able to resonate. How about that? You're not even going to be able to really resonate with this earthly thing if you don't have your guide points.
Divine in order. Yeah.
If you ain't got the divine in order, and that's what a lot of people are missing. They're like, oh, this earthy thing is going to give me my birthright. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it may be. No, your understanding and overstanding is what's going to unlock you, because it's mental freedom. Everything is mental. And if you don't have it mentally, like if you're looking for something external to actually get you there, opposed to knowing it's mental and you'll get yourself there no matter what, then you kind of off the track of the divine. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. Even though that's divinely guided, if that's what you're going through. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But it's divine first, you know what I mean? Then national. So yeah, man, as far as as far as that goes, man, that's my piece on it. I feel like, you know, it's divine and national. What Noble Drew Ali was saying was true. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. So this sign says altogether in Atlantic City, it's the Almanac, not Almanac, but Almanac. Can you go to the next one? It's the half of this picture. Just yeah. Is there any way you could blow that up? The European plan and the American plan, reduction in rates. Yeah, blow that up one more. One more. Okay, go back one more. Okay. No, yeah, just yeah, right there, right there. Okay, I wanted to add this on because this is one of the lessons that Noble Drew Ali was leaving about. To me, this is how it stood out to me. I've seen this. I don't know. You ever watched that? Have you ever watched that TV series, The Boardwalk Empire?
No.
You never watched that? Okay. Well, that was based off of like the so-called Atlantic City area. But I went into this restaurant called the Fork and Knife Restaurant at the end of the Black Horse Pike when you come into AC. And in there on the first floor, you know, it's very historical. Like they got coats of arms on the ceilings and stuff like that. But on the first floor, this picture was there. European and American planes, seawater bath. You know what I'm saying? Now, remind you, I don't know if you want to clarify the definition of American real quick, but the aspect of Noble Drew Ali talking about white means purity, purity means God. Yeah, let's look at this before and then let's go back to that. Yeah. So American, you know what I'm saying? An Aboriginal or one of the various copper-colored natives found on the American continent by the Europeans is the original application of the name. This is from the 1936 unabridged Webster's Dictionary. You know what I'm saying? And when you keep that in mind, keep how we already defined the definition of a Moor. We already gave reference to what that means, right? Any of Moorish origin or with skin brown like that of a Moor, you know, so you can clearly see the correlation between the definition of Moor and the definition of American, right? And it's not like, oh, they're colored people. When you see copper color and it's hyphenated, that means it's a conjunction. So it's not like it's not like they're saying we're colored people. That's very descriptive. Copper colored is very descriptive. Colored is like very general. It's not what color? What color are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And then we know the courts are bound judicially to know that that doesn't mean anything anyway. So all right, so we got the definition of American on the record. We got the definition of Moor on the record. Let's go back to this European and American black bath plan, right? And this is from Atlantic City. And it correlated to me when I seen this in the world with what Noble Drew Ali was saying about white meaning purity, purity and means God, and God means ruler of the land. Because clearly, if you look at the American plan for the bath water, right, and the European plan, every one of the American plans has running water. Single room with running water, double room with running water, double room with sea bath. When you look at the European plan, single room, double room, no running water, double rooms, no real talk, double room with bath. It's not even sea bath. But the American plan had the cleanliness on every level. So when I see that, you know, when Noble Drew Ali was talking about white outside of identity of a people, but more so as a action word or a status, you know what I mean? Things like this, when I see that, it reaffirms it for me because we already showed earlier that, you know, these people who think they black, we gave the reference to how they were simply classified as black, but they're not black. There was early federal documents. When we look at Noble Drew Ali's lessons about white meaning purity, you could see that this is clear, you know, in the American plan, because they had to be the rulers of the land to get running water on every type of room they had to offer. Single room, double room with sea bath. European plan, they didn't have that. So in that sense, it reminded me personally, like, oh yeah, they wasn't white, they wasn't pure, they was Europeans. We are Americans, we are Moors. This is the difference. It's not an identity, it's a status, because only the rulers of the land will have irrigation systems to connect up to buildings. So no matter what room you slept in, you have running water. For me, it's little affirmations like this. You know what I'm saying? That shows me that what Noble Drew Ali was saying is very clear. Because he talked about those Asiatics of America of Moorish descent, you know. So that was my piece on that, bro. You know, because a lot of people be questioning Noble Drew Ali's lessons, like, oh, he's saying we're white, and you know, no, that's we the black men. Oh, you know what? You heard it all before. You heard it all before too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying that you got to look a little deeper than what is on the surface. And then you'll be able to discern when you see things like this, you know, who are the Moors? Who are the Americans? Who are those Asiatics of America who are of Moorish descent? You know what I mean? And that's just basically where it's at. So I see that, and I see that the American plan was lit with the running water. Europeans never had it. And I correlate that to what they said about them at Ellis Island, as far as them coming filthy on boats with rodents, rats, literal rats, and all of this. It took them a while to get cleaned up. You know what I'm saying? So remember, in these times, wash your hands. Give us 6 feet. You heard? Wash your hands. Give me 6 feet. You know what I'm saying? That's just it. So yeah, man. Like that's where I'm at with it. And yeah, we already addressed the fact that Moor is, you know, any dark skinned person or skin brown like that of a Moor. So I don't know. You know, that was what I wanted to add on more. Like yeah, bro, like it's crazy. Just basic level on the Moorish information.
Right.
It's a lot of misinformation out there. It felt like since you do a lot of acknowledging these people who be trying to botch the lessons and act like Moors don't know what we're talking about, I felt like it was an honor to be able to present these fundamental facts on this platform. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it was an honor to have you on the platform finally, because you already know this is some stuff we've been saying. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta do something live. You gotta do something live. You know, so it's good. It's good that it could manifest. It's good that it could manifest.
Yeah. It was time. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm definitely trying to move on to more. Not that this is not active, but I don't want to sit on this information forever. But I'm definitely trying to do a few more things physically. So I'll be studying in the almanac and things like that. But I also needed to get this off my mind too. So it's an honor, you know what I mean, to be able to add on to the platform. And for sure, man, like this is what our people need to know. If they're gonna talk about the 5-pointed star, then you know, talk about what it really means and why it's on our Moorish flag, why it's the hieroglyph for man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't talk crazy about, oh, it's not the 5-pointed star don't mean nothing, and you know, we got some other flag. Shut up. You know what I mean? You don't know what you're talking about. You ain't studied enough. I don't care where you been at. You ain't studied enough. You know what I'm saying? To talk about this 5-pointed star. So on our Moorish flag, I don't care what you believe in. You know what I mean? This is what we know. So it's divine and national. I know you wouldn't get these degrees in the temple, and y'all could put everything up for speculation there. But like, it's still Moors out here who know who they are and are being themselves, regardless of what institution or organization is saying anything contrary. That's all I'm saying.
Islam.
Salam, Moor.
Yeah, that's real talk.
Yeah.
Talk. If nobody has anything in the chat, you already know this is how it goes down. You already know. You know what I mean? It might be just a pop-up and you might get a little something. But that was a good add-on because it's important that, it's regular. It's important that they deal with the divine aspect. You know what I mean? Have to.
That's what's going to get you right. You know what I mean? That's what's going to assist you to manifest. We was already told. See, because these non-believers, if you will, they don't really understand the lessons like we do. We was already told in the first chapter before we got into anything else that the seraphim and the cherubim that rule the stations of the sun and the spirit of the mighty Allah that rules the solar stars, this is what's going to lead us to victory. I don't know what y'all thinking about trying to get some victory in some court like that's going to save you. Like, yeah, we need to be able to defend ourselves on every level. But when you want to go beyond that realm of earthly things, then this is what you need to know. You know what I'm saying? Everything about that star science. And yeah, we gotta, as angelic beings or divine beings, we gotta be able to protect ourselves from the demos or the democracy, which is clearly unconstitutional because it only guarantees a republican form of government in the Constitution, and an unconstitutional law is not a law. You know what I'm saying? But it basically boils down to angels versus demons because it's some people that share the same nationality as you and I, Cujo. And these are the most hateful people that we ever encounter.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd be surprised.
To the core.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. The way they talk about Moors on these 85ers YouTube channels and Facebooks and all that shit, you'd be surprised how much we get the totally opposite reaction when it comes to dealing with Europeans and presenting ourselves. And I'm not saying that demonic energy or that hateful energy doesn't exist amongst them. It absolutely does. Don't get me wrong. But when we move in on the civic side, where it doesn't really require too much of their opinion, like a lot of Moors get the most ultimate love. So I'm just saying that don't listen to these people who are trying to discourage you from being a Moor unless you're in a temple. Remember, as I showed in the beginning, you're already in the temple. Yourself is the temple. Start there. Anything outside of that, you're talking about your constitutional rights to peaceably assemble. And you can peaceably assemble with whoever you want. That's a constitutional right, as long as it's peaceable. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't listen to these clowns. Do your own study. You know what I'm saying? Do your own study. Oh, shout out to the Alhambra Society too. I seen the video of the brother and another brother, Crumb. That joint was lit. I love what they did about the names. I did see that. Shout out to them. Yeah. Islam. Yeah. Shout out to the Alhambra Society. Yeah, that was a dope video. We need more of it, I would say. But yeah, man, like
Alhambra.
Huh?
No, I'm telling Alhambra to hit the link if he wants to come in and plug something.
Facts. Yeah. If so, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was definitely a good live. Those brothers brought some information about names that really brought it home, man. Like, I didn't even it was certain things they was talking about I didn't even think about, you know.
Yeah.
Like they was going in. I love that video.
But that's the thing with Drew Ali, that new Moors with eyes wide open. You don't know who's gonna have, what I mean, the spark. But we know that if there are more scientists, there's gonna be something that what I mean, wherever they're inspired from is gonna be worth sitting down and taking in the inspiration.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Because it's on the frequency already.
Yup. That's a fact, yo. Yeah, Decalico and Crumb. That joint was a live joint, bro. And it was short. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta go in for hours and hours trying to prove the point. You could sum it up short. You know what I'm saying? So I see that Moors is definitely speaking up a little bit more in these days and times. This is our time, regardless, of what's going on around this this world right now. I believe that, and I have faith in that. It's all for the betterment of us, of we Moors in America, across the globe, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just that time.
There's a lot more. You seeing the question in the chat from Tahir?
Nah.
I'm gonna put it on the screen. You're seeing the screen though.
Conway L. Stevens. Can amalgamated Moors be nationals or only subjects of the Moorish nation? That's a deep question. A lot. You're gonna hear a lot of different viewpoints on that. You got to really, if you really want to have that conversation, it's kind of based off of which parent is of which nationality, right?
Right.
Because if the mother is a Moor, then yeah, the child is still a Moor. You know what I mean? I think it's like, if you know who your father is, honor your mothers and fathers. Be yourself. You know what I'm saying? I personally, I see it like, yeah, you get your mitochondria from your mother. That's a fact. So just keep in mind, based off of how you're amalgamated, you're going to have more genetic traits. Like we could look at a Meghan Markle, right? And she looks like she's of the pale skin nation of Europe, but her mother is a Moor. You know what I'm saying? And she's been doing Moorish things, even snatching princes out of castles. Like, I mean, we could look at this. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it depends on your mother. You know what I mean? And others, no disrespect to brothers and whatnot, but then you're going to have brothers and even children who will say, well, my father is still a part of my existence. That's up to them to figure out. You know what I mean? That is up to them to do that. So I don't know. It's a touchy subject. You know what I'm saying? It is a very touchy subject.
Well, one of the perspectives as well is that when you go back to the Moors in Spain,
yeah,
and the idea that everybody lived under the Moors as a subject to them.
Yeah,
it wasn't a thing like a negative, because it says subject, it's a negative. Like, people found out about what it meant to have an elegant life under the rule of the Moors.
That's right.
I mean, they say they kicked the Moors out of Spain and the place went to shit because the Moors left. So they had to be doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you say like amalgamation, and like me saying, we go on different sides, like the Moorish mother and the European father, or the European mother and the whatever. The distinction is really there, because two light-skinned people might be both light-skinned, but when you check the genealogy, you'll see, oh, okay, well, you know, one might be a Moor, the other one might be European.
That's a fact. That's a
Right?
fact.
But now, when we look again at the historical aspect of it and the people living under Moorish rule, it would be the same thing today, just that it's being done under the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So you don't have to look to what our foreparents did to your foreparents.
Right.
European, mulatto, whatever. We knew that we ran stuff. And we took a little bit of advantage of that. But Drew Ali brought our principles back to us so that things wouldn't go to what it was. And the whole concept of them being a subject isn't like you're a serf or you're a slave or you're a whatever. You're just that's what you are under our rule.
Yeah.
Like that's just what it is. It's not a lower status thing like that. Because I think people get lost in the idea that you know, the mindset that it's a hatred for some European thing or something like that. It has nothing to do with that. That's what the science says. It's not anything that's debatable. But where's your mindset at? It's not gonna matter if your heart and mind is in the right place. It's not gonna matter if you're amalgamated or not, or should I say I'm a Moor or whatever, because it's about doing the work. It's about taking this to the four corners of the earth.
Facts, bro.
And how are you gonna relay the message to whoever you encounter?
Mm-hmm.
How are they gonna receive the message? And we get it. I was dealing with more about this like a day ago, a couple of days ago or something. You know what I mean? The whole idea of, well, you know, the amalgamated Moors feel like they want a place in the nation. And the place is, where's your mind at? The place is, are you going to go to the bootlegger, or are you going to go to the source? And Moors are the source. Are you going to support the bootlegger, or are you going to support the source?
Facts.
You know?
Yeah, and
if it is that you're European, there's nothing wrong with that. When you do the history of there, you know, Moors brought a certain science and knowledge there that people are still using today, but they're using it like we were talking about earlier on the negative side. Not that negative is bad, but they're using the energy for different things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact, bro. But while we're on this subject of mothers and fathers, I want to say I've been doing some of my own research on my own family, and it led me to a lot of revelations. I mean, on my patrilineal side. And they was considered, you know, the nom de guerre they had was considered, and I know we're not Negro, blacks, and colors, but in so-called United States history, they're referred to as so-called free blacks. So I started looking into that, and they were saying that they're not Negro, black, colored, and the fact that if you really notice the history, because a lot of people get it twisted, like the father started dropping off in the 60s or whatnot. Do you know, like, even if we took it to the slave era, like I'm talking about 1800s, 1700s, You know, not the modern day slavery, but you go into the 1800s. Do you know there was more free Moorish women than there was more free Moorish men, or so-called black? The women was always, it was always a more highly populated society of free, melanated, copper complexion women than there was men. And there was a certain time frame where men was not even considered as human beings, thus they would never be counted as part of the head of a household, period. They was considered slaves. But these free women of their same species still had love for them. So they would start families, but the men they couldn't even legally be married because the man was considered property. So you get a free Moorish woman, translate that today to a woman with a good job or whatnot, and you know, a brother may be lagging behind. It's like he was never accepted in certain parts of society, period. Before the 60s, he wasn't counted. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't understand that concept too, you know. So I'm saying, I'm not saying that to say that that takes away the science of the mother's aspects of you know, actually genetically determining what it's like for the child, you know. But the reality is that there was times where the man wasn't even considered, even if he was active in the child's life, he was not considered or counted. This man was considered property. So you got to understand that that man not being counted amongst the household is not new. You know what I mean? There was always more of our women that was considered quote unquote free than there was men. And they don't add that into the equation. So he's left out. You know what I mean? But she still had love for him. So, you know, these are things that we got to know the history of, because that's what it was. So he could be in love with a free woman. She could love him back. They could start a family, and he still wasn't counted as anything, nothing, because he was considered property, but she was considered free. And that's a fact.
That's crazy.
It's a fact. Didn't start in the 60s, started before then. You know, what you seen was the resurrection or the resurgence of that in the 60s, 70s, or whatnot. But that aspect is deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, when you get into these facts, you know, there's different perspectives to it. You know what I mean? And that never takes away the science of it, though. Like, yes, you get everything you got from your mother without a reasonable doubt. You know what I'm saying? Everything is you get your heart, brain, all of that. You know, it's a process that exclusively goes on in the womb. It's the only place for that to happen. You know what I mean? But you know, whether people want to consider the process in its totality, that's another thing. You know, it just is what it is. So I say that to say that know the history, man. Know the facts. Go back to the 1800s and see what was it like. You know what I mean? How was they be? Because even on their corporate census, they was not recognizing enslaved men. Just was not happening. No, in their words, that nigga could not be considered the head of a household when he's a slave. He do what I say, so he ain't the head of your household. And you see the same thing today.
Yeah.
You see the same thing. He ain't the head of nothing. That nigga gotta pay child support when I say so, or we locking him up. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It is the same thing. So remind you, keep these perspectives in mind when you're talking about these realities. You know what I'm saying?
Just put this one out there, since you're talking about the free black women. The essence of liberty, free black women during the slave era.
All right, before you do that, just type in Nancy Ruffin. I want to see if you're reading the same book. I think you're reading. Read that, but then type in Nancy Ruffin, Ruffin. And if you read in that book, we definitely on the same page if she pop up.
All right.
But read what you reading, but just don't forget. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most free black women made their way by dint of hard work. Much extant data about work of free women focus on women alone. After Henrietta S. Duterte husband died in 1858, she became known in her own right. With experience gained from working with him in the family mortuary, she took over the Philadelphia business and became the first practicing female mortician in the United States, if not in the world. Owning and managing the business for several decades set her apart from other women known for laying out the dead. So just to throw that one out there.
Yeah, that's deep. Now in the search bar, see if you can type in the name Nancy, Nancy, and then the word Ruffin, Ruffin. Nancy Ruffin. See if something pop up. It popped up?
Yeah, some popped up.
Yeah, this is the universal energies. I know what you're talking about, bro. Like, I know what you're talking about. This is the shit I was studying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, it could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, you know, there was a lot of free Moorish women back then, and their husbands was not considered. You know what I'm saying? In certain cases. In some cases, there was, you know, the man and the woman both considered free. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a lot of shit deeper than this. You know what I mean? Like, but this is just surface. Surface. Uh I don't know. I know it's a lot about it, but you could read. I mean, if you want to read anything from it, go ahead, bro.
Yeah,
I forgot which one. And remind you, this is a lineage who was also saying that, you know, they're not considered colored. They should be considered, if anything, you know, the same thing as the Hindustans across the water, you know, on a bohemian level. They might not have had it all down packed, but they knew they wasn't colored. That's a fact. You know what I mean? So yeah, bro, like, yeah, this was definitely meant to be. Yeah, yeah. A woman considerable. I can't see it as clear as you could probably see it if you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't think we could go up on this one.
Yeah, facts. You know what I mean? The yeah, but if you really look at this woman's story, you'll see that, you know, certain brothers was not considered the head of households, but not just hers. Many sisters was going through the same thing. You know, they was holding it down naturally and even within the artificial aspects of it, you know. You know, so it's like and remind you, if you ever read, like, I've been doing extensive research, there's certain letters that she wrote, and her penmanship was impeccable.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? There's no way a slave would be able to write that
right,
neat.
like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like her handwriting was so on point. There's no way that a slave could write that neat, you know? So I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, yeah, so we need to really get these stories straight, because the sisters was considered free way longer than the brothers was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, even in that time, they wasn't having that shit. It was like, nah, nah.
Yeah, which one would be right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Of course, it would be her to be doing it first to inspire the warriors, because she's not going to be able to do it without some type of, you know, force behind her. Because those times, they're like, you know, imagine, you see what brothers are going through. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, as far as the hidden hand type stuff that they had to deal with, being on the level that they are. We were watching on the weekend. We were watching Banker on the weekend. That one's crazy. That's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the Banker.
No doubt. But yeah, it's a lot to study. You know, I'm still going in. You know what I'm saying? All of this is part of knowing self. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like when you see it from that perspective, even during their times, it's like, okay, the conversation could get touchy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So for sure, man, like that's yeah.
Yo, give thanks, Miz.
No doubt about it, bro. Likewise.
Yeah.
Same to you.
This was a good session. We'll definitely do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Again.
Yeah, we'll definitely be back to add on a little bit more.
Right.
You know, this is what I've been doing since quarantine, just getting familiar with aspects of myself I may not have considered before.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's really revealing. You know, so shout out to you, shout out to Canaanland Moor, shout out to all the Moors in the chat. This thing is deep, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's definitely deep when we're talking about our nationality, birthrights, and lineage. So again, you know, honest to you, Cujo, and all Canaanland Moors. I guess we can leave it here for tonight, and maybe we'll do another one before this whole quarantine thing is over.
Yeah, we'll
exchange notes. You know what I'm saying?
Work on it. Islam to all the Moors in the chat. Peace and love. You already know tomorrow. We got our usual Tuesday night, 7 p.m. and then 9:30. MHHS, Eyes Wide Open.
Facts.
Blog Talk Radio. Still going. Still going. Peace and love to all Moors everywhere. You have any other closing comments, Ms. Or?
Yeah, I just want to say peace and love to all the Moors in the building who will go back and listen to this class, or who have listened live and will take something from this class. And acknowledgement to RV Bay Publications, MHHS Eyes Wide Open platforms, Canaanland Moors, all active Moors who really know what's up, not these Moors who've been trying to slander and shade true and living Moors just because they won't, you know, subscribe to some watered down version of what Noble Drew Ali left. We're dealing with what the Prophet left, you know, and we can do that pretty much. Now, I don't want to sound selfish, but we could do that by being ourselves, opposed to looking to be a part of something else outside of self. So, Morris, peace to y'all. Keep being yourselves, and realize that, you know, this is your day and time, man. This is your day and time. If you got any resources, land, whatever, please plant some seeds while we in this food shortage in America. Not for me, but maybe for your neighbor, your family, the ones you love. You might be able to feed them in all of this, you know? So my thing is, let's deal with the astro cosmos cycles and realize what we got to do right now, you know, to tap back into our God frequency of manifesting on this earth. And it's starting with seeds, because remember, we spoke on this Thursday for the flesh eaters. They're saying that the meat, it's a lot of meat plants that are getting contaminated with this COVID-19 thing too. So you might have to tap into your God frequency, or your God diet, or your God life fit.
You better tap into. Amor sent something, still has me tripping out about some moving meat and shit like that. Moving.
Huh? Oh, really? The shit was crawling on the table by itself?
Like pretty much the dude was holding it though, but it was moving like it would crawl and run away from you.
Yeah, that's not what you want. You know what I'm
Yo,
saying?
definitely not what you want. Definitely not what you want. Moving meat, you have to start to think about maybe not playing around there anymore.
Yeah. Or the fact that even before all of this, you'd be like, I could take a digestion of it or whatever. Just remember, in these days and times, you might be digesting COVID-19 with that cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Take care of yourself. Excuse me. Take care of yourselves, your family, your loved ones, and you know, I just appreciate this moment. We'll be back to do another one, I'm sure. You know.
Islam. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Miss, give thanks, Moor.
No doubt. All thanks to you, man. All praise due to Allah. I'm glad we got this one on the record finally
Straight.
in this format. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. But I say for the future references, this is also what I want to say. I don't want to go on too much.
You're good.
But while we're talking about these free women, these free Moorish women, you know what I'm saying? Keep in mind too, I will always say to the sisters and even brothers, and we might have to go back and visit this on a part 2. But remember, it's nothing that we facing that our ancestors didn't already go through. So, you know, I know there's a lot of sisters who are being faced with losing their children and things like that. Remember, y'all was always considered more so free than we were. So you can look to these free women for some inspiration. And I was say exceptional to this is the sister Sojourner Truth. Look into her story, and we could come back another time with more stories that everything Moors is dealing with. There's been Moors that already went through it and won. From taxes, whatever it is, there is actual references that you could go look up and see that this is true. You know what I mean? So if they did it back then in the 1800s, we definitely could do it now. You know what I'm saying? So stay strong and love yours. You know what I'm saying? Peace, Moors.
Peace, Moors.
Islam.